Good afternoon, everyone. This is a quick video. If you have just purchased my energy map, this is a quick video to show you exactly how to get started with it. So, the idea behind your energy map is that you read it first. So, the first job that you're going to have is to grab your energy map, whatever it is that is your energy type, grab it. Get a cup of tea, very British. Get a cup of tea, have a read of it. It won't take you too long. It's about 10 pages long. The idea of it is that you can then have a really strong, what's the word? A really strong initial thought process that is from your brain without it being convoluted by different AI systems that people might use when they go deeper into this. It has a lot of information. It's laid out in a way that is designed to get you to think about your subconscious patterns. And so, because of that, there are quite a few things that you might want to just sit with and pause with. As I say, there's quite a lot of things that you can go into. So, each map has this kind of conditioning. So, the most common way, this is the manifestors one, most common way manifestors will override their strategy, going silent, asking instead of informing, over explaining to justify. It goes into the patterns map. It's really quite detailed into as to how much it goes into. But the idea is that you get an opportunity to sit with it first, to really soak it in on a human level. That might take 1 day, 1 hour, 1 week, 1 month. You might want to really just absorb yourself in this. And then you have the opportunity to start using AI to really tease out the information that you want to tease out. Now, the other thing that you can do is use this as a therapist guide as well. If you are someone who prefers to do the one-to-one therapy or group therapy, perhaps it would be suitable for. It's this idea that you can use this however you want to. I have set this up for AI usage because that's where a lot of people are turning to at the moment. But there is no right and wrong way of doing this. You've got to find the way that to work with these maps in a way that suits you and be unapologetic about that. So what you're going to want to do once you've read it is open up Claude. I prefer Claude. I think Claude is really good at mirroring and reflecting things back. It doesn't get in the way. It doesn't give you its opinions and thoughts. It doesn't agree with you in the same way that ChatGPT tends to and keep you in those kind of thought loops. But how this has been designed is that you're going to take when you let me just share my other screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. When you get to the working with Claude part, the chapter 4 part, you get a prompt to set it up. So this is the prompt to set it up. I have uploaded my Manifestor energy map. So you copy and paste that. You then head back to Claude and copy and paste. And what you're also going to want to do is add your file. So we're going to add our Manifestor file because that's the one that we have to work with. And we're going to press go. And what that initial prompt will come back with is um, obviously, it's saying that I built this map. I did build this map. Before, Becky, I've read it. Before I asked, one thing I noticed, you wrote this map, you built the prompt structure, the editorial luxury aesthetic, the whole architecture of using Claude as a mirror, and now you're sitting with it, uploading your document, asking to be reflected back to you. That's worth naming, not as an observation, as a fact about what you're doing right now. The manifestor who built the map, asking the map to show something that they can't see. So this is what Claude is really good at. It is a little bit more, I find sometimes ChatGPT a little bit dumb. I think Claude is a lot better at reflecting things back in a way that feels natural to me and feels like a guided way of going within. Because I think what I really want to name actually within this is that all these maps are designed to show us our blind spots, which is why and how they work. When we sit with ourselves, even when we sit with cards, I've got some tarot cards in front of me. When we sit with cards, it's really easy to go to the light side and to the kind of easier side and ignore the things that might be going on underneath. Actually, using the AI tools in these ways, setting them up with this more ethical standard, I want to use this as a thinking partner and a mirror, not to give me advice or to fix anything, but to help me see my own patterns clearly. That's an ethical statement. You are not my coach, you are a reflection surface, right? That's where the ethical statements come in. And then what you can do is I'm going to take the next. So obviously I would do this question. So the question that comes back from that first one, where in your life right now does your manifestor energy feel most free and where does it feel most blocked and suppressed? So I would answer that message and I would put something along the lines of, I don't know, I feel really free when I'm creating, but can feel really blocked when I'm surrounded by a lot of noise and people asking questions. That's an example of, I would go into a little bit more detail than this, but just as an example, um, it will then come back with these reflections, right? So, you said creating feels free, not when I'm working or in my business, creating, the pure act of initiating, which is what the manifestors are meant to sit with. But notice what you said about the blocks. You didn't say when I'm tired, when I've overcommitted. You said surrounded by lots of people and noise, surrounded by lots of noise and people asking questions, sitting with the structure of that sentence. The block isn't internal, it's the presence of others wanting something from you. So here's what I'm reflecting back. You feel free in the part of your work where no one is watching, no one is asking, no one needs you to translate. And you feel blocked in the moment that translation tax gets levied, when the energy you'd use to create has been diverted into explaining what you're creating, why, to whom, and how. This is not just a preference for solitude, this is the manifestor cost. So it then goes deeper. Whose questions are you answering that you've not actually agreed to answer? And it gives me a couple of other questions. So I can sit with this session for as long as I kind of get to tease those answers out. What I would suggest is doing kind of one question a day. So this would be my first session. And what I would do is I would save this. So I would click to save the name and I would call it Manifestor Energy Map. And I would also pin it so that the next time I go to it, I can find it really easily. It'll be at the top of my list. So when I then go in tomorrow and use the next question, so prompt 2 is about the pattern. The pattern is now I want to look where I override my strategy. Do not explain informing to me. I have read the map. Instead, take what I have just shared and reflect it back to me. Where does it sound like I'm either suppressing my initiation or moving without informing? Don't soften it. Show me the patterns in my own words. And I would then go back to Claude after I'd had time to really sit with this first day, copy and paste and allow it to bring things back. So here's what I've heard. You feel free when you're creating, which means the initiation itself is intact. You're not suppressing the surge, the raves, the rise. The override lives in the second half of your sentence, surrounded by a lot of noise and people asking questions. Listen to the passive construction, surrounded as if it's weather. So here's a pattern and what it sounds like. You initiate freely, you build the thing, open the door, send the signal. That part is clean. But somewhere between I am making this and people are now responding to this, the inform stops. You don't tell people what the terms are. You don't say, here's what it is, and I will respond and I will answer, here is what's mine and what's not. The door stays open and the questions pour in. So it will then get me to think about what that is. The pattern in your own words, I create freely and then I let the questions arrive, blah, 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 blah. When what it actually is a cost to inform that I didn't make. That's the override, not the surge, the silence that follows. So it might be that I then ask, because it hasn't come back with a question for me, right? So it might be then that I ask, okay, what's an action I can do this week that will help me recognize this pattern in action. So you can then ask it these sub questions to help. Um, so great. So stop. Before I answer, notice what just happened. You moved from the prompt two straight into what's the action? You skipped prompt three and four, the override and the trade. I'm not policing the sequence. You built it. You can move through it however you want, but you're a manifester. That is the surge arriving on one cue. So here's what I'll offer instead. You can have the action, I'll give it to you, but notice that asking for it now is itself a small piece of the pattern. Move past the discomfort. So it's telling me that actually I'm rushing too far ahead. I need to go back and I need to sit with that information. I need to do the next prompts before I get to the action. And this is, as I say, where Claude, I think, really steps up in terms of the other, compared to the other AI tools. So I would do that over a 5, 7 day period, and maybe I will repeat that a few times. And after I've repeated that, I will just sit with that. What is it that I want to get out of that? How can I start to see my life through a different lens this week? How can I start to step into a different story? And if that gives you brilliant insight, I can guarantee you that the soul map is going to take you even deeper, because my soul map is not just then about energy types, which is what this 1 week is for. It is about absolutely every part of your personality, including not just your human design, but also including all of those things around astrological transits, initiations that you might be in, what your nervous system is and is not doing, and how you can really start to work with that. So I hope that that helps. It's an amazing tool. Use it in the way that it has been designed, as a tool, not as an over-reliance crutch. Get curious with yourself, get to know yourself, and I would love to know how you get on with these maps. Take care of yourself.